Okay, so let's begin with the session. Hello, everyone. My name is Assaf. I'm a certified CISSP. I have an extensive experience in information security architecture, consulting, and auditing. I'm specializing in helping organizations to design secure architectures for on-premises environment and cloud environments. I also perform security audits in order to identify and mitigate vulnerabilities in those environments of the customers. In addition to my consulting work, I also give instructing services in various topics such as cybersecurity, networking, and blockchain technology. This session will be about the business impact analysis. If you have any questions during this session, you can write them right in the chat. After I finish each slide, I will answer your questions. Okay, so let's begin with what is business impact analysis. In this webinar, we will cover the key components of business impact analysis, or BIA in short. We will include identifying critical business functions and resources, assessing potential impacts and risks, and develop recovery strategies. We will also explore real-world scenarios where BIA has been applied successfully and discuss how you can incorporate BIA into your work to improve your organization's resilience against cyber incidents. Now, the importance of BIA in cybersecurity is that it is a critical component of any cybersecurity program. It helps the organization to identify and prioritize their critical business functions and resources, and assess potential impacts and risks to those functions and resources, as well as develop recovery strategies to mitigate the impact of cyber incidents. So by the end of this webinar, you will be able to define BIA and its purpose in cybersecurity, understand the components of BIA, learn how to conduct it effectively, and explore real-world scenarios where BIA has been applied successfully. You will also understand how you can incorporate BIA into your work and improve your organization's resilience and posture against cyber incidents. So, BIA, as I said earlier, stands for Business Impact Analysis, which is a process of identifying critical business functions and resources, assessing potential impacts and risks to those functions and resources, and then developing recovery strategies in order to mitigate the impact of the cybersecurity incident. Now, the purpose of BIA is that it helps an organizations to identify and prioritize their critical business functions and resources, assess potential impacts and risks of cybersecurity incidents to those functions and resources, and then develop recovery strategies in order to minimize the impact of those incidents. Now, by conducting a BIA, an organization can improve the resilience against cyber incidents and minimize the impact of those incidents on their organization's operations and reputation. Now, by identifying the critical business function and assessing their dependency and risks, we can develop recovery strategies that ensure business continuity. By identifying potential threats and vulnerabilities that may cause downtime, data loss, or financial loss, we can understand better how to treat them. Business impact analysis can be a regulatory requirement, so failing to implement one can result in penalties. Business impact analysis also helps an organization to maintain its reputation by identifying potential risks and mitigating them before any damage occurs. Now, the key benefits for conducting a business impact analysis is that it provides several key benefits, such as identifying critical business functions and resources, prioritizing resources and efforts to protect these functions and resources, identifying potential risks and vulnerabilities, and developing a recovery strategy in order to minimize the impact of the cyber incident. Business impact analysis also helps the organization to comply with regulatory requirements and improve the overall cybersecurity posture. Do you have any questions so far? Okay, let's continue. So let's discuss about the first step in conducting business impact analysis, which is the process of identifying critical business functions and resources, which is a key component in BIA. Now, when we do this first step, we need to ask ourselves a few questions. The first one is, what are critical business functions and resources? So let's define it. Critical business functions and resources are the processes, systems, facilities, and data that are essential to an organization's operations and need to be protected in the event of a cyber incident. Now, identifying critical business functions and resources is a key step in conducting a BIA. It helps the organization to prioritize the resources and efforts in order to protect those functions and resources. The second question that we are going to ask is, how can we identify these critical business functions and resources? So there are several methods for identifying these critical business functions and resources, including conducting interviews with key stakeholders in the organization. We can review organizational policies and procedures and analyze previous incidents and their impact on the organization's operation if there have been any in the past years. Now, by using these methods, an organization can develop a comprehensive understanding of the critical business functions and resources and identify potential vulnerabilities that needed to be addressed. It is required to determine what resource is being assessed. Is it people, technology, facilities, and etc. The third question that we are going to ask is, what is the impact of disruption to the critical function? So we need to evaluate the consequence of a disruption to each critical function that we have found, including financial, operational, and reputational. Example of critical business functions and resources can be critical business functions. It depends on the organization industry. So it can be financial systems, customer data, intellectual property, supply chain operation, and so on. Now, after we ask these questions and find the answer that we need for each of them, we need to create a comprehensive list of critical business functions and their interdependencies in order to facilitate a risk assessment and recovery planning. Now, as I said, there is no predetermined list of critical business functions because every business has its own critical business functions. It varies between organization and organization, so it needs to be understood by the organization itself. So therefore, this is why we need to ask those questions. For example, if we take a credit card company, what would be the critical business function of the credit card company? What do you think? Please write the answer in the chat. Okay, customer data, that's a good answer because the credit card companies have access to the data of the customer, which is personal identity information. And there is another critical function to credit card companies, which is the payment systems. Now, let's say that you want to pay with a credit card. You go to the store and then you try to pay with the credit card and the service is denied. You cannot pay. So if it happens due to a cybersecurity incident, and let's say that it disrupts the service of this credit card company for 8 hours, for example, it means that for 8 hours, customers cannot process payments through their payment systems. So you can't use your card for 8 hours, for example. So this is a big problem in this example.